Hello again, everyone. I am Chris Shira. On my right, Justin Ritzel, and planning his keister down, Robert Harding, Mr. Nats fan himself.
That's right.
Any predictions for tonight?
I predict a good game.
Wow, that was a ringing endorsement of the Nats' chances tonight, folks.
When it comes to the Nationals, I go in with tempered expectations because it's a Game 5. Luckily, it's not at home because we know they lose. But who knows what happens tonight. I will say that the Dodgers certainly haven't looked good this series, but we'll see what happens.
Anything can happen in a Game 5.
That's right.
The good news is that constant underachiever Bryce Harper is no longer on the team to
That's
drag
right.
you guys down.
Damn right, yes.
Ooh, wow.
Yep.
Dropping D-bombs.
Don't need that $330 million baby on the team.
All right. We're going to pick some NFL games, 4 of them to be exact. Last week was fun.
For two of us.
For 2 of us.
I picked the game right that I wanted to pick right. So
there we go. So
if I was going to go 1-3, I'm glad I nailed the pick.
Yeah, 1-3, and I think Robert and I each went, 3-1?
3-1.
3-1, there we go.
Well, let me just remind you guys, I was behind at the start of last year.
Nothing's still got a long
And guess
way
who's
to
stormed
go.
back? So
This is
enjoy
it's
the
it's a marathon.
Of course. I mean, Cleveland looks like garbage. Couldn't even put up a fight against the paper tiger out in San Fran. Russ Wilson, as Justin pointed out on Twitter when I mentioned that Patrick Mahomes was MVP. Like Russell Wilson's played pretty well this season. Big reason why the Seahawks are 4-1. I think they'll be 5-1 after.
Team in Philly. Minnesota, the home favorite, but I like Philly to cover this, if not win it. So I'm going with the Eagles. Justin?
2 years ago, the Minnesota Vikings were the talk of the town. They had that Minnesota miracle, that garbage win, luckiest win I've ever seen. A franchise that finally thought, oh, maybe we'll win a Super Bowl. But then they went into Philadelphia and they got trounced by the Eagles, avoiding what would have been the first team to ever participate in a Super Bowl that their city was hosting. The Vikings, I described the 49ers as paper tigers. The Vikings fit into that category.
chance. Cleveland going to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. Rams are 3.5-point favorite. Boy, I think this is the best game of the week. It's up there. This should be the Sunday night game. Unfortunately, they're stuck with the Chargers and the Steelers. I've been waffling on this one, but I look back, short week for San Francisco. I think the Rams need to know that they've got to get their act together. This is the game where they do it. It's 3.5. Boy,
2017 season. Now, keep in mind, 2 years ago was kind of before Fox took over as the Thursday night slate, and Fox insisted that we're not going to have these dog games if we're going to buy this night of TV. We need to have a better schedule, and I'd say so far they've followed through on that. But 2 years ago, it was early season 2017. I think the Rams went to San Francisco. And it was a great game.
Yeah.
Lots of points. It was McVay versus Kyle Shanahan, kind of before everyone realized, the Rams are good.
Mm-hmm.
They were still kind of taking that next step. People were starting to take Jared Goff seriously after his terrible rookie year. The Rams pulled that game out in really exciting fashion. I agree with This is kind of a must-win game for the Rams at this point if they're going to stay alive in the division. And I trust the coaching staff. I'm still not sold on the 49ers, despite Nick Bosa and his flag planting. I will take the Rams at home.
our last game, the Detroit Lions at Justin's Green Bay Packers. Green Bay -4. Now, Detroit has been a little bit of a surprise. They put a scare into Kansas City a couple weeks ago. They're playing good, no doubt, but they're exceeding expectations. But they're going to Lambeau. God knows the Packers know the Lions as well as anybody.
One of the top teams in the NFC, and I am confident that they won't have a repeat of what happened a couple weeks ago when they lost at home to another contender. I think they'll handle the Lions on home turf and win.
Surprising little bit of recent history for the Lions-Packers rivalry. The Lions actually have a 4-game winning streak against Green Bay, which is really bizarre because obviously 2 of those games have come at Lambeau Field. Especially, you think about it, the Lions went like 15 years without winning at Lambeau Field. Now they've won 3 of their last 4 trips there. Last year was a little goofy because Rodgers got knocked out with a concussion in the first quarter. But there's been some kind of weird games over these last couple of years. I know the 2 games in 2017 were Brett Hundley specials. Last year at Detroit was the game Mason Crosby missed 5 field goals. One of the best kickers in the NFL missed 5 field goals. That's not going to happen again. I like Green Bay, although I will say, I don't know if he's a good coach. I would say he's probably not a good coach. But Matt Patricia kind of has a good track record against some of these great Hall of Fame quarterbacks. They beat Tom Brady and the Patriots last year. He's beat Aaron Rodgers twice. So I think the Lions are better than people probably expected, but I won't take them at Lambeau Field. I will take the Green Bay Packers, the best team in the NFC.
They're certainly better than the Bears.
All right.
That's not saying much.
Any other sports topics you gentlemen would like to address, Robert?
I do want to say this whole NBA thing with the Rockets. What a joke! They're tying themselves in knots now because they have this financial relationship with China, and they're reaping the rewards of that. But to put your home country is why you exist. We're a democracy here, and so for them to at least not not defend those ideals in the name of profit was a little disgusting, and I think that's why you see the reaction now. It's a joke. China needs to be held to a higher standard. The NBA needs to tell them, hey, if you want our product, because I'm sure that China's making a pretty penny off of it too. There's certain standards that we hold dear. So if not, get out of China. I get that they're a big market, but the NBA will be fine.
It is. I agree with you. It is sad when a business, and the NBA is a business, chooses profit over freedom, basically. And I understand it. They're a business. They got to make money, but they're like a lot of businesses American businesses that operate in China. They have to sacrifice their ideals to make money, and it's as much as we don't like that. That's the realistic thing of it. So I agree with you, Rob. I wish the NBA would just say, something, China, you don't like what we're saying here. You don't like what our GM, the Houston Rockets GM, tweeted out. Well, too bad. You can cancel, and you guys can just go off on your own and have your own China Basketball Association, and we'll beat your rear ends in the Olympics in a few years. So, all right. Just anything you want to add about that or anything else?
There's supposed to be a couple games that are being played over there. Would it be surprising if China said, yeah, no, get out of here? I heard that China basically canceling the NBA could have salary cap ramifications, which would be very interesting. But really, I just want to say, with all the stuff that goes on with the NFL, a total disaster week in and week out. MLB, with its total failure to market its stars. The juice baseballs. There's controversy in baseball as well. This is going to be the first real test for Adam Silver. We'll see how he handles it. I think the NBA has been doing well under his watch, but this could change things. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but the best commissioner in North American professional sports right now is Gary.
Oh, come on!
He's the best right now.
That's a garbage take.
He's the best right now.
What a joke!
The NHL,
What a joke.
The NHL is as great of a product right now as it's ever been. It's expanding, which is not something I initially agreed with, but Vegas is a thriving franchise.
Yeah.
In a couple of years, we're going to add Seattle. The teams that the NHL wants to be good, for the most part, are good, or at least interesting. Every team has its fair share of stars. The league has never been in a better place. And finally, after really the last 25 years, give or take a few years right after the 2004-05 lockout, the NHL's been a league about being tough, being stronger and more physically capable than your opposition. Teams that were rough and tumble, like the Los Angeles Kings won a couple Stanley Cups. There was a lot of penalties that still went uncalled, which was a major issue in the 90s and early 2000s that people didn't like. You weren't allowing your skill players to thrive. And now we're seeing over this last year and a half to 2 years that the teams with the most skill, the most speed, the most talent are the ones that are winning out. And I think in this era where you're not really allowed to hit guys the way you could, the NHL is taking the direction it needs to take to keep a great product. And I'm just really excited about where the league is right now. You should be excited because the Sabres finally look competent. We'll see if that lasts an entire season instead of 10 games like last year. But I just love where the NHL's at. Gary Bettman, whether you want to admit it or not, he's not perfect, but at this stage of the game, he's a very solid commissioner. And guess what? even for all the good he's done, he still gets booed at the Stanley Cup final every year, which is personally one of my favorite moments of the hockey season. So go NHL. You're doing good things.
Would you like a rebuttal, Mr. Harding?
Well, I do agree with Justin on some points. The expansion is certainly encouraging. Considering the NFL did it. They expanded to some markets. Obviously, they're going to have some teams moving, although that's seeking out public dollars for sure. But it is nice to see the NHL expand. The Vegas edition, I think, was long overdue. It's clear that there is definitely a market for sports franchises there. Wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, football is going to be there. Wouldn't be surprised to see more teams there. There was just the threat that the Oakland A's moved to Vegas, which probably wasn't serious. It was probably Manfred, flexing a little bit, but still, not totally crazy idea. And they have a certain Philadelphia Philly who might be interested in that franchise someday. But they probably won't win a World Series though with them. But Bettman, pro clock is right twice a day. This is this guy.
This is just refusal to give him credit. That's what this is.
This is a guy who how many labor stoppages have we seen under his tenure, and
we had a season wiped out, didn't we?
Yeah, and there's been other things. I mean, for all the talk about the NFL being slow to the concussion problem, they have not handled it well either. So there's that, to consider as well. And, I've just never liked the guy. I think he's a weasel, and he should have been canned after the first lockout. But who am I to judge? I give him his participation trophy for expansion, but everything else he deserves.
Well, expansion's a no-brainer. They're giving you money, okay? I mean, that's an easy one. So
just the savviness of getting in that Vegas market when they did was so important because the Raiders are going to be there. I mean, that situation's in flux. Who really knows when the Raiders are going to be in Vegas?
They're going to be there next year. That stadium is coming along. It's going to happen next year.
But just the fact that the Golden Knights are Vegas's team.
Yeah.
Okay, they're an expansion team that was born in Vegas. The Raiders are a nomad team. Okay, they could come to Las Vegas for 2 years and they could be in LA the 2 years after that. Who knows? They won't be Vegas's team. They'll play their games there, but they won't be that city's team. The Knights are Vegas's team, especially having the season they had 2 years ago, their first year, right after the shootings. Mm-hmm. That city really rallied around the team. I think that means something,
well,
and that starts with Gary Bettman.
Let me throw this out here for a minute, though. When you say that the Knights are Vegas's team and everything, let's list a couple things. Number one, if this team was not stacked the way it was in expansion, and we know that the NHL set it up.
It wasn't really that stacked.
Well, still, they were set up to be a good team.
Their first line consisted of a guy who played on the Syracuse Crunch 2 years ago.
They weren't your typical expansion team. Let's just put it that way, okay? And that helped out, and they got the people on board and everything, and that's helped out a lot. That they if they weren't that good in the first year, I don't think the casual fan, and God knows how many casual hockey fans there are in Vegas, but that was basically, I wouldn't say it's a stacked deck, but that was put together to their advantage, and they did take advantage of it by going all the way to the Cup Finals and everything. But I think when the Raiders come in, the Raiders are a team on the rise. Okay, I mean they're 3-2 right now, and you can argue. You know something? They did beat the Bears, didn't they? Okay, they did beat the Colts, didn't they?
The Bears should have lost to the Broncos 3 weeks ago. Okay, let's not give John Gruden.
They did beat the Colts.
They beat the Bears with their backup quarterback.
They beat the Colts. The Colts team had just beat the Chiefs. Now look, I'm not saying that the Raiders are going to make the playoffs. All I'm saying is the Raiders are a team that is improving, and they're moving to Vegas. And the NFL, as we all know, dwarfs everything. They are the eclipse, okay? So, yeah, it helps that the seasons are not, there's only a 3-month overlap, really. The Golden Knights are going to do fine. That's great.
Hubris of the NFL fan.
Okay. Come on. Okay. Vegas, look, the Vegas Raiders are going to do well. They're going to do very well.
You know why they're going to do well? Because when they host teams that are even semi-popular, everyone's going to want to come see the road team. They're not going to be going there.
And there will be a good number of road fans there, absolutely. But That being said,
is Mark Davis going to be able to afford the advertising and marketing around town to get that team?
I don't think he's going to have to
a footprint there.
do that much there. I think Vegas is very excited about the Raiders. So, all right, guys, you ready? I was going to make the joke. Like, remember that old cliche? I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out.